I came to Greenwich in 1932, living on a farm, and in Conyers Farm, actually. You know, we had a complete working farm with all of the animals, and it was a bucolic but a beautiful life. And after 4 years, we made several moves, and when I was 8 years old, we wound up in Old Greenwich. And during all of this time, I was at Edgewood School in Greenwich from the time I was in nursery school till I graduated. But we had limited facilities, and I was introduced to the Y at an early age and learned how to swim here. And as time went on, I used the rifle range. There were several stations to shoot from, and it was really an education in how to handle a gun. It was, to me, that was a valuable resource. And as time went on, our school had limited facilities, and so we played basketball here. We had a number of our games right here at the Y versus schools like Brunswick and King's School and Daycroft. And during our middle years, middle school and high school, we used to hold dances down here, and jukebox and refreshments in the evening, and it was really a growing up time. Learned how to dance, jitterbug, etc. It was a wonderful resource for the town of Greenwich, and we took full advantage of it. But I worked in a summer camp for underprivileged children from New York, up in Copiague Falls, New York. And I needed to be a lifeguard as part of my activity there, so I received my certification here at the Y, and it was valuable. My swimming, I learned how to swim and save lives, and that served me well throughout my lifetime. I had always wanted to be a pilot. I built model airplanes from the time I was 10 years old, and I wound up playing football and went to Kenyon College. After 2 years, the war was in Vietnam was still running, and they were going to draft a number of us. So I decided to enlist in the Naval Aviation Program. I became a cadet down at Pensacola, Florida, and received my wings actually with Jim Lovell a year later, the astronaut, and had an interesting career flying aboard ship along with a fellow that followed later on, who runs the Y now. Was a Navy pilot. I was a Marine pilot, and enjoyed that thoroughly. In later life, I wound up flying with Pan American, and in the 70s, I was running through a lot of time changes with international flying going east and west, running through 5, 6, 7, 8 hour time zone changes, and it was not comfortable on the body. I thought that I needed to have more physical activity, and I came down to the Y and started running. Difficult at first, but after a week or two, I was able to progress running from a very short distance. Just once around the lap was a big deal for me. And as time went on, I was able to comfortably run 5 miles. And that didn't take but a month's time. I'm down at the Y a minimum of twice and quite often 3 times a week to run through a thorough routine of exercise, and cardio, as well as a little bit of weight training. And about once a week, I take advantage of the great swimming pool that's here. When my son was about 9, 8, he had gotten a severe fear of the water. And I brought him down to the YMCA, and it took time, but eventually we were able to work with him, and he became a good swimmer. I was on the board for a while at the Y and was helpful with Camp Monica Wago. We used to bring a number of kids out there in the summertime, and we had a wonderful program of serving kids out there. We had a sailing program, we had archery, we had all kinds of crafts and so forth. It was our own resource of developing kids, and a number of youngsters that are my age now really enjoyed being part of that camp experience.